there were only 3 people in the world who understood general relativity. Eddington paused, then replied, I'm trying to think who the third person is. During his voyage from India. So it would be Einstein, Eddington. I actually don't know who the third person is either. I mean, this is the first. I didn't know very well that Eddington was considered to be such a general theory or general relativity expert. But I'm also trying to think who the third person could be. Thank you, Titanic. Thank you, Doro. Thank you, Reese. During his voyage from India, Chandrasekhar worked out how big a star could be and still support itself against its own gravity after it had used up all its fuel. The idea was this: when the star becomes small, the matter particles get very near each other, and so according to the Pauli exclusion principle, they must have very different velocities. This makes them move away from each other, and so tends to make the star expand. A star can therefore maintain itself at a constant radius by balance between the attraction of gravity and the repulsion that arises from the exclusion principle, just as earlier in its life gravity was balanced by the heat. Thank you. You're not what? You're not here? Oh. Chandrasekhar realized, however, that there is a limit to the repulsion that the exclusion principle can provide. The theory of relativity limits the maximum difference in the velocities of the matter particles in the star to the speed of light. This means that when the star got sufficiently dense, the repulsion caused by the exclusion principle would be less than the attraction of gravitation. Chandrasekhar calculated that a cold star of more than about 1.5 times the mass of the sun would not be able to support itself against its own gravity. Remember the Chandrasekhar limit? Hello? Oh, is Stephen not here? Where's Stephen? He's usually always here. We need James. James really was funny as heck. James used to come much later at night, actually. I think it's not time yet for James to wake up and put on his clothes. Okay, so he realized that a cold star of more than about 1.5 times the mass of the sun would not be able to support itself against its own gravity. This mass is now known as the Chandrasekhar limit. A similar discovery was made about the same time by the Russian scientist Lev Davidovich Landau. This had serious implications for the ultimate fate of massive stars. If a star's mass is less than the Chandrasekhar limit, it can eventually stop contracting and settle down to a possible final state as a white dwarf. Remember, we talked about white dwarfs for the less massive stars that become white dwarfs basically when they die, with a radius of a few thousand miles and a density of hundreds of tons per cubic inch. A white dwarf is supported by the exclusion principle repulsion between the electrons in its matter. So there's basically a bunch of electrons, and they have electron degeneracy pressure in order to support the white dwarf together once the star is dying and contracted and all that. Okay. Screenshot me now. Did you get it? a white dwarf is supported by the exclusion principle repulsion between the electrons and its matters. We observe a large